Today I want to talk about the Modern ban list. Is Modern a good format? In my opinion, not quite yet, but it's getting there. There are still some notable problems. Why play a tribal aggro deck? You have Zoo. Why play a mid-range aggro deck? You have Zoo. Why play Burn? You have Nicodle, Goyf, and Tribal Flames. Having Zoo be the best deck is fine, but not when it invalidates a bunch of other decks. The two main offenders are Wild Nicodle and Punishing Fire. If your aggro deck dies to Punishing Fire, you can't play it. There aren't any good answers. Tectonic Edge is a far cry from Wasteland, and Extirpate's only good if your opponent messes up. Wild Nicodle is a smaller issue, but it outclasses both aggressive and defensive creatures. You could play Jund, but why wouldn't you just splash Nicodle? Once you're at that point, you should just play Zoo. Far too many of my deck building decisions go down that road, and that's just unhealthy. Wouldn't you like to see White Weenie, Merfolk, Elves, and maybe even some Fairy deck back in the rotation? If so, you probably have to ban those two cards. The next question on everyone's mind is Splinter Twin healthy? I was initially in the banned Splinter Twin camp, but now I don't think it's that bad. Axing Ponder and Preordain made the new Twin decks much worse than they used to be, and their performance at Worlds proved that. I felt like it wasn't enough though. Sure, it's a little more inconsistent, but would a PTQ format really be fun if you kept dying on turn 4 every game? I figured that type of scenario would be harsh for new players, but maybe it's fine. Every format needs a best deck or two to flesh it out, and Twin could play that role. Honestly, it's not that tough to beat. You're going to want to play creature removal anyway, and if you test it all against Twin, it's easy enough to figure out that matchup. Maybe Twin is unfun and could go, but I think it's easy enough to beat. You just have to be prepared. Seething Song might be unsafe. A few players played Storm variants of the Pro Tour, but few did very well. Losing Ponder and Preordain hurt a lot, and no more Rite of Flames was crippling. Still, there were several rituals left over, and Past in Flames was just printed, and Storm still survived. Seething Song seems like a huge offender, as it's the only ritual left that adds 2 mana on its own. Is that such a big deal when it costs 3 though? Counterspells and discard end up being very good against Storm because of how heavily they rely on Seething Song. At least with Splinter Twin, you get to interact, right? For as unfun as Splinter Twin might be, Storm is 10 times that, and maybe it shouldn't be legal. I'd say that if you want the format to open up, definitely ban Punishing Fire. That card is oppressive, unfun, and hard to stop. I have no idea how that card wasn't banned before. Getting rid of Wild Nicodle would also do wonders, but only if Punishing Fire was gone first. Splinter Twin and Seething Song are the next biggest offenders, but if all those get banned, Ad Nauseam starts looking pretty damn good. And where do you draw the line? If it were up to me, I'd just ban Punishing Fire and see what happens during the PTQ season.